13 years ago, Tesla reinvented something nobody thought needed reinventing: the door handle. On the Model S, it disappeared completely into the body. Walk toward the car and it presented itself. Walk away and it vanished. It was elegant, futuristic, almost unnecessary, and that was exactly why people loved it. Soon, the rest of the industry started copying Tesla. Hidden handles appeared on electric cars across America, Europe, and especially China. A simple piece of metal had become a symbol of the future. But there was one problem. The industry designed these doors for the moment you enter the car. Regulators started asking a very different question. What happens when you desperately need to get out? Because after years of complaints, investigations, and growing safety concerns, the world's largest car market has finally responded. And Tesla is now caught in the middle of the biggest automotive recall China has ever announced. But the recall isn't actually Tesla's biggest problem, because China had already made a much bigger decision, one that could eventually change the way cars are designed around the world. Welcome to German Car Center. Today, how Tesla's coolest feature became one of its biggest problems, and why one of the simplest parts of your car may never be the same again. To understand how we got here, go back to 2012. Tesla had a problem. Electric cars weren't cool, they were compromises. Strange little vehicles people bought because they wanted to save fuel or help the environment. Tesla wanted the Model S to destroy that image. It couldn't simply be another electric car. It had to feel like something from the future. And that experience started before you even sat inside. The Model S had no traditional handles sticking out of the doors. Instead, they sat flush against the body. Approach the car with a key and they extended outward. It was a tiny piece of theater, but it communicated something immediately. This isn't a normal car. There was also a legitimate engineering reason behind it: aerodynamics. Anything protruding from a vehicle creates some amount of drag, and on an electric car, efficiency matters. Reduce drag and you can squeeze more distance from the same battery. So Tesla's solution seemed perfect. Cleaner design, better aerodynamics, more technology, and a memorable first impression. Then something predictable happened. Everyone noticed. As Tesla became one of the most influential automakers in the world, competitors started adopting the same philosophy. Flush handles appeared on more EVs. Some remained mechanical. Others became increasingly dependent on electronics. And nowhere did the trend explode faster than China. Walk around a Chinese auto show today and hidden handles are everywhere. They became visual shorthand for one thing: modern. Traditional handles started looking old. But there was a weakness hiding underneath all that beautiful bodywork. A door handle has one extremely simple job: open the door. Under normal conditions, an electronic door can do that brilliantly. You press a button. The electronic actuator releases the latch. The door opens. Done. But crashes aren't normal conditions. Imagine a serious collision. Airbags deploy. Metal bends. The car loses electrical power. Maybe there's smoke. Maybe there's fire. Now maybe someone inside is injured. Suddenly, horsepower doesn't matter. Range doesn't matter. The touch screen doesn't matter. The only feature that matters is the one nobody thinks about when buying a car: the door. And this is where Tesla's brilliant design becomes complicated. Teslas have mechanical emergency releases. The electronic button isn't necessarily your only way out. But there's another problem. You have to know where that mechanical release is. And you have to know immediately, not after searching online, not after watching a tutorial, not after reading the owner's manual. Immediately. Because in a serious emergency, confusion costs time. And regulators became increasingly concerned that emergency mechanical releases in some modern vehicles were not obvious enough. Then, on August 21st, 2026, everything escalated. China announced the largest automotive recall in the country's history. Around 4.3 million vehicles, 9 automakers. And hidden among that enormous number was one figure that immediately stood out: Tesla. Approximately 2.98 million vehicles, nearly 3 million Teslas. Model 3, Model Y, Model S, Model X. Vehicles manufactured in China and vehicles imported into the country. And the issue wasn't some obscure entertainment feature. It involved emergency door operation. Chinese regulators said mechanical emergency releases could be difficult to identify and operate in some vehicles, particularly when a collision causes the low-voltage electrical system to fail. But here's where this story gets interesting. Tesla's solution isn't to replace millions of doors. For affected vehicles, Tesla plans to make the emergency releases easier to identify with warning markings. It will also deploy an over-the-air software update changing window control behavior following a crash. In many cases, owners won't even need to visit a Tesla service center for the software portion, which raises an obvious question. If the solution can be that simple, why does this matter so much? Because the recall isn't actually the biggest story. Months before these millions of vehicles were recalled, China had already decided that the entire industry needed to change. And this is the part that could reach far beyond Tesla. Starting January 1st, 2027, new Chinese safety requirements take effect for vehicle door handles. The era of relying on completely hidden electronic solutions is effectively being forced to change. New vehicles will need accessible mechanical means of opening doors. Think about what that means. For more than a decade, automakers moved in one direction: hide the handle, integrate it into the body, make everything electronic, make the car look seamless. Now, the largest automotive market in the world is pushing the industry back toward something much simpler: a mechanical way to open the door. And China matters enormously here. It isn't a niche market manufacturers can ignore. China is the world's largest car market. It's also the center of the global EV industry. Tesla builds cars there. Chinese manufacturers export cars around the world. European manufacturers depend heavily on Chinese sales. If China forces manufacturers to redesign something as fundamental as a door, that decision may not stay inside China. Because developing one door system for China and another for Europe or America adds complexity and cost. Manufacturers may decide it's easier to use compliant designs across multiple markets. And this is where one safety rule thousands of miles away could eventually change the car parked in your driveway. But there's an even bigger question underneath all of this. Did the auto industry over-engineer the door? Look inside almost any modern premium car. Physical buttons became touchscreens. Keys became smartphones. Analog gauges became displays. Gear selectors became switches, mirrors can become cameras, and mechanical handles became electronic releases. Each change looked more futuristic than what came before. But futuristic doesn't automatically mean better. Sometimes the old solution survived for decades because it solved the problem extremely well. A traditional mechanical door handle requires almost no explanation. You see it, you grab it, you pull, that's it. No software, no menu, no battery, no tutorial, and most importantly, no hesitation. That's what makes Tesla's story so fascinating. Tesla built its reputation by questioning everything traditional automakers accepted. Why have hundreds of buttons? Why have dealerships? Why have physical keys? Why can't the car improve through software? And many times Tesla was right. The entire industry followed. But the door controversy exposes the limit of that philosophy. Not every mechanical object is outdated simply because software can replace it. Some things exist because simplicity itself is a safety feature. And Tesla isn't alone here. That's critical. This isn't a story about Tesla inventing a terrible door while everyone else got it right. The Chinese recall involves multiple manufacturers. The entire industry became fascinated with hidden handles and electronic releases. Tesla simply helped make the idea desirable, which makes what happens next much more important, because we may be watching an automotive trend reverse in real time. Yesterday, a visible mechanical handle made a car look old. Tomorrow, manufacturers might advertise one as a safety feature. And there's something deeply ironic about that. The car industry spent billions making the automobile more digital, more connected, more intelligent, more automated. Yet one of the features regulators are now fighting to protect is one of the oldest and simplest: a handle. Tesla made it cool to hide it. Competitors followed. Millions of cars adopted the idea. And now the world's largest car market is forcing the industry to reconsider how far that idea should go. Maybe that's the real lesson. The best technology isn't always the technology you notice. Sometimes it's the technology that still works when everything else doesn't. The future of the automobile may still be electric, It may still be autonomous, it may still be controlled by software, but apparently, when everything goes wrong, the future still needs a door handle. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to German Car Center, because the biggest changes happening in the car industry aren't always under the hood. Sometimes they're hiding right in front of you.